Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, iZotope.com. Hello, welcome to Hyphenate Halftime. It is Monday, June 30th, almost the end of June. At the end of this day, I suppose, will be the end of June, beginning of July. Yeah. With me for his one and only special appearance on June 30th is Mr. Aaron Farley. How you doing today, sir?
Yes, I've been waiting for this June 30th for my whole life. My one and only
June 30th holiday appearance.
Yes. The holiday is its podcast, International Hyphenate Podcast Day.
That's it. That's what we like to celebrate here on every June 30th.
We gave $1 million to the Trump administration, so they gave us our own day. Jesus
Christ. Sorry. Don't even joke.
To start it out.
Such a bummer. Just like,
on a highlight.
A little lemon in the nuts.
Yeah.
I am excited though, because last week's interview with Jeff Byron was probably one of the longest interviews I've done. I don't know what the timing is, but I think we almost went for 2 hours.
It's a good one too.
Thanks. I was ready to wrap it at like hour 1, and then he started asking me questions, and I'm a ham. I can't refuse to answer a good question from here.
Who, me?
Me talking on a microphone? Never.
Oh, is someone asking a question about me? Oh, well. I don't really want to answer it, but how long do you have?
Yeah. Got another hour? Hey, I got the hard drive space. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. It was nice. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, it's one of those things, catching up with a friend and I hadn't seen in years. And then we start having the formality of a podcast sort of structure to learn more. I didn't know all that stuff about him growing up out in Claremont near me and playing with the same drummer and all these other things. It was really like, oh, okay. It's funny. You never have, just in socializing and, talking for 5 minutes backstage or something, or loading in or loading out or bumping into somebody at a party. It's hard to get into all of that stuff. Like, you need 2 hours of a podcast to really talk about things.
Totally. Well, and especially when you're in your 20s and early 30s, it's like the last thing on your mind is,
did I ever tell you how awkward I was when I was a teenager?
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about your family.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing. He's like, how can I
where did you graduate from? How were your grades? Did you enjoy this? Did you have a double major?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's much more of what are we doing right now or tomorrow?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now and how are we going to do this again tomorrow?
I heard there was more beer over there.
Yeah.
I think there's no beer here, but there could be beer somewhere else. I used to have a trick I would do at parties in my 20s where I'd come with my own, suitcase of beer, an 18 pack or whatever, 12 pack, whatever you could get. And friends, we'd all come to a house party, and then I would stash the beers under the sink. Because normally, everybody would just put the beers in the fridge and then so I was donating to the party. I wasn't trying to be stingy, maybe, but I wanted to make sure that the beers I brought, I was able to drink, and they didn't all get drink.
Yeah.
The second I threw them in the fridge, and then like, wait, there's no beer left. So I would hide them under the sink. And then I always knew there was more beers. And people, about 10 o'clock, people would be like, well, there's no beer. Well, I don't have any beer. And I'm just like cracking new ones. Like, I don't know.
Someone has some beers somewhere.
Sucks to be you.
That was back, like, now you actually, if you get invited somewhere, you're like, ooh, we should bring a bottle of wine or beer or whatever to for everybody.
Right. Yes.
And definitely back then it was like, no, I only have like $9.
Yeah.
And that's just enough for me and maybe one other person who I want to give 1 to 2 of these to.
Exactly.
I mean, we used to bring
2 bottles of $2 Chuck. For under $5, you'd have 2 bottles of red wine.
Yeah. I mean, we used to go to the bar when I first got to LA, and we
bring
would
your own
go
beers, BYOB.
Yeah. Well, but you'd have to go and find out what kind of beer they sold in bottles. And so you'd be like, okay, well, so they sell Bud and Bud Light in bottles, but it had to be the right kind of bottle. And then these were back in the early 2000s of when everybody just wore backpacks because it was cool. And they would let you into a bar with a backpack on until they found, it's like they'd found out pretty quick. And you'd bring a whole 6-pack. You'd bring like some T-shirts to put around the beers so they didn't clink in there. And then every time you get done with the beer, you go into the bathroom, open up another one, come back out with the same beers that everyone else was drinking on the.
I would sometimes
think about that.
I would
now,
just get
like,
empty. I would get like empty pint glasses. And then just fill them up. Like, even if I didn't have the same bottle, I didn't even match the bottles.
You're smarter than me. Yeah, we didn't look rich enough to have something that was in a pint.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That would be the dead giveaway. Like, no,
those guys are definitely drinking Bud Lights only out of the bottle.
I was probably putting PBR or Old Milwaukee in a pint glass.
The amount of PBR is just ridiculous. Well, and up in the Northwest, it was Olympia. Although I had a job when I was up there, so I had enough money to actually buy beers. But also in Portland, everything was pitchers. You'd buy a pitcher.
Okay.
So even when I left Portland, which was like 2000, I mean, you'd go to the bar. You'd sit with like 4 people, and everyone would buy a pitcher, like one after another. Right? It was like I got the first one, but it was like $6, maybe $5 for a pitcher.
Amazing.
And then even when I came down to LA, it was like a beer is $3. This is insane.
Goodbye.
And now it's like $7, $8, $6.
I don't even know.
$7, $8.
I've been out of the game.
I know you got out. You got out early. Yep. You're good.
Cashed in all my chips.
Luckily, my body is making me get out early or getting out soon. To where I have one, and I'm like, ugh. I feel awful.
There goes my weekend.
Yeah, it's like the little like, oh, happy conversation buzz now lasts for like 8 minutes, maybe 7, and then my stomach just hurts, and I'm just sitting there, and then I get tired, and then I'm hungover before I leave the table. It's the worst. It's the worst feeling, but it's good for my wallet because I'm like, no, I don't
need a.
I'll have like half. I'll share a drink with someone. Just to have that, like, oh yeah, this is good. My eyes are a little wider open, and then go like, nope, I'm out of the conversation. How much? I got 8 minutes, guys. What do you want to talk about? Come on, let's go.
Yeah,
quick.
There's no second
round. Nope. I'm out.
Fucked.
I'm gonna go home. It's way cheaper though.
Yeah,
it used to be a good 4, 5, 6 drinks. You're $40 in, and you're like, oh, well, do I want to pay the electrical bill or do I want a couple more drinks?
Oh, man.
This is what I'm up against.
Yeah. I mean, I got one of those like student credit card things. I remember they came to the college campus. We were just signing people up. I think they hired cute girls with like clipboards. Like, do you want a credit card? I'm like, yeah, sure. It sounds fun. And then just sign up for it. And it's just the most predatory, amount of interest.
You can use your first. You could use your first thing on a Red Bull and vodka.
Yeah, I think it's like a $500 limit, because they don't want to give you too much, and then it's at 35% interest. So then genius me like at the bar, like I don't have any cash, but I'll buy a round for everybody here.
I can totally pay this back with the extra money I won't have next month.
Yeah, and then that the quickly max it out, and then the interest just keeps compiling, and then it doubles. before you know, you're like, how am I not getting ahead on this? I'm paying the minimum payment of this. Like, why am I not paying this off? This should all be gone.
I didn't spend any money and I owe more money this month.
How did that work?
Wait, let me read this. That's on page 47 of how compound interest works.
You got to pay all the interest off first. Like the minimum payment is 90% goes to interest, and only 10% of that $20 you spend actually goes to the principal. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah, and if you pay it off early, your credit score actually goes down. I thought
that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't worried about that. Credit.
No, that's what happened later though. They're like, I'm like, I need to close this credit card. They're like, no,
don't close it.
Because if you close a credit card, your credit score goes down. Like,
yeah, but I'm not.
What do you mean? It has zero thing on it, but it has a fee every year. Yeah, just pay the fee. It's worth it. Like, wait, how does this work? Who does credit scores? Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Well, it's a company.
Yeah. There's a credit agency, but like, it's kind of like film ratings. Right. It's like, who makes this a rated R? You can't know. Didn't someone make a movie about that? About the rating system?
Probably.
A little while ago?
Yeah.
And they were trying to figure out how the rating system worked. And they're like,
Well, it's a self-imposed system because I think in the, when it was going from, silence into talkies, there was, a sense that maybe these things were getting too risque. So then the companies, like the classic film companies, put a board together to censor themselves rather than have the government censor them. Because it was the kind of thing where, like, they'd rather be their own police than have an outside police force actually telling them what they can and couldn't say. So that it was put together by the ratings board. But there was a code. There was, like, if you watch any pre-code silence even, it's, it's risque to the degree, maybe not, rated X, but it's suggestive in ways you don't normally think about in silent film. We think about the Little Rascals or Charlie Chaplin, but pre-code had, adult themes. And then there was a code they put in, and then there was a rating board later that just ways to, that they could shock people into like, whoa, this is so salacious, I have to go see this film, but also show that there was some responsibility in the titillating nature, but it's still, morally keeping with the codes of the time. So it's all funny. Self-imposed, but in the same way too, that the Oscars are also a self-rewarded system. You know what I mean? That these things, like, we're going to give ourselves our own awards and we're going to tell ourselves what we can and can't say, but in a way that just drums up more publicity, kind of like in a wrestling match sort of thing. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, he couldn't do that, he broke the rules. Like, wait, who are the rules? The guy saying he broke the rules is the guy who made up the rules. It's all written, it's all scripted anyway. Like, oh, that was the best movie we've ever seen, no one's ever done that. It's like, according to you, who promotes you just said he's the best, he's the champion of the world, but this whole thing only takes place in 4 counties. How can he be the world champion of it? But it's,
well, I guess it makes sense. Like, you have to have a competition. You have to have some kind of competition or some kind of rules to break or go up against for anything to be interesting.
Dramatic. There's their dramatic
or like
art,
to sell
right?
Sell anything. It's like the like skateboarding. Like, the skateboarding became popular when they started having contests for skateboarding.
Right. You could rank it, and then you could right.
Yeah, and then you
can't have Olympic events based on creativity solely. There has to be these things. I guess
like no one's
ribbon
like,
waving and breakdancing now, but
like hula hooping stayed about the same because who's doing the hula hooping contests?
Right.
It's only fun. It's only a toy. Like, a toy can only sell so much.
But if it becomes a competition, then it becomes a sport.
Then it becomes sport.
Right. There we go. Now we figured
it out. And just like movies of like, oh yeah, this is great. Or it's like the Alice Cooper thing of like, drum up some fake publicity and have something put in the paper the next day so everybody comes to see if the craziness happens.
Did it really happen? Yeah. But then you have to shock half the population, and then that excites the other half of the population. Like, I can't believe he would do something so horrible like that, and I would never go see somebody like that. And then that just excites and then now you just have word of mouth publicity.
Well, people still talk about Ozzy like biting the head off of a bat, which is probably made up. Like, probably never happened.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, but still, like, wow, isn't that the guy that bit the head off the bat? I'm like, wait,
It's enough of a story.
That's been going since I was a kid in the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone heard that.
Urban myths and rumor, it's a whole other it's virality, internet, pre-social media.
It's amazing.
These viral things. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about our movie for this sci-fi week. I want to get back to Jeff as well. But our movie this week was Sneakers. The what year is that? 1988 or 1990? What year did Sneakers come out?
No, it was in the 90s because I think it was 92. I watched that clip that.
In 92. There we go. Wow.
And the whole thing about that, it was the first digital press release.
Yeah.
I love that. They sent out a floppy disk or whatever. Those things called floppy disks still, even though they weren't floppy.
Like the little hard, the 3/4 things.
Little hard disks. I think they were still called floppy disks, even though they weren't floppy anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the movie was great. I forgot about the Dan Aykroyd. Well, the best thing about it for me was how relevant it was to literally to like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Of like with the conspiracy theories, with the CIA conspiracies, with the fact that all of those quotes was like, it's not about who controls the weapons, it's about who controls the information.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. And it was like, yeah, no, this is exactly,
that's
they
Google's,
got it.
That's Google's profit plan. You know what I mean? If you control the data, you control the information, you control everything.
But it shows that all of those companies that were starting at that point, or were getting ready to start, or were in the infancies of like, Apple and Google and Amazon and all of those, like that thought process was actually out there when they all started. It was like everybody knew that.
They knew.
They're like,
it wasn't an afterthought to them internally. I think from a public facing thing,
they were all like
this is this is the new thing to do. This will make your life easier. It's like having your own in-home secretary. You can write emails. They sold it for home use as making your life easier, convenience sort of technology. But really, it was always about collecting all the data. Data. How do you say? Do you say data or data?
I'm going to go one or the other, depending on who I'm talking to.
If you're talking about the Star Trek character, he's Mr. Data.
Yeah, data. I feel like maybe I used to say data, and now I say data.
Data.
Do I ever say data?
I don't know.
Maybe in my head when
I've said it 4 different ways so far just in this episode.
Yes.
Can't tell.
Dada.
No, I think it was really fun. And then I was looking it up, and then I saw it was the same writers as last week's show or last week's film of War Games.
Really?
Yeah. The screenwriters of War Games, while doing research for War Games, came across this term sneakers, and it was meant to refer to they were researching, talking to people at like IBM, and there was the older programmers who wore brown shoes, and there was the younger generation of programmers and they wore sneakers. They wore tennis shoes, there were sneakers. So this kind of represented the young, and that's what the Matthew Broderick character essentially is a young sort of computer programmer. And so that's where they came with that term. And then they were doing more research for War Games, and they came across this whole sort of dark web for the time, for the 80s, dark web hackers, black hat, sort of malicious people who could go on the internet and steal people's information or do things that weren't for the benefit of humanity. And so that was sort of where they pulled these ideas post War Games. And like, there's a whole other part of this thing. And then I think they worked on it for a few years and brought in another writer, and then the director of Field of Dreams. I think they'd been working on this sneakers project for like 9 years, but they had to go off and write something else and do something else, and then it finally came together.
So that means they were like completely updating it too as it was going, because the technology was updating so fast from year to year.
Yeah, from 1980, what was that, 83 to 92. Between the two films.
Yeah.
It was a huge sort of, but they were right. But I think that was the part of it. Like they were actually doing real research and knew the real information. And so it was accurate for the time, but I don't think the public had really caught on by 92 with what, the internet was going to be, I had no idea. I didn't even know there was the same writer. It was funny as we were picking our sort of internet paranoia films and starting it off with these two.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the Aykroyd.
Oh, he was great. I mean, he's a podcast guy, right? It's like, cattle mutilations are up again this month. And everybody's like, no, don't talk about it. I can't hear it anymore. These are the same microphones they used when they faked the moon landing. Yeah. This is in 1992.
So good. And I was trying to think too, and I could have just used the information superhighway, but that was right around the time that Fox put out the video of like, did they fake the moon landing?
Oh,
because that was like a big.
I don't know. Well, they had the X-Files. This was like around the time of the X-Files, and that was sort of that lived in that world.
Yeah, but Fox actually made a thing that was on prime time that ended up being used for, like, all of a sudden everybody started thinking like, wait, was this, you can't take photographs. These photographs are all faked because you can't see the stars at the same time. And we did the meta-analysis of the blah, 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 blah. And it was some, I'm going to say it was like French filmmakers, and it was like,
well, Stanley Kubrick became the sort of, popular sort of urban myth that he was the one who.
I think that became later.
Okay.
And then that was it. Then people said, oh no, he was actually helping them in a soundstage figure out how to use
test
cameras.
Run. Yeah.
Test run. And so then they had done tests, and then people were like, that is not true. And he was, whatever.
Well, he needed the high speed film and the high speed cameras or the lenses that NASA was creating for the space program in order to film, 2000, or I think it was for like Barry Lyndon, because Barry Lyndon, he lit all in candlelight. So he needed these high speed things. And so maybe there was a trade off. I guess in that part of the conspiracy is, that 2001 A Space Odyssey was all sort of cover for all the stuff that they were going to do for the moon landing. So he was able to sort of come up with concept art, and he also had access to specialized, space technology, specs or information or concepts of what a floating gravity spaceship would look like, with a centrifugal force where it's spinning, and so it could be, all these kind of applied sciences that he would use for that. But meanwhile, we're all covert cover. So if he needed spacesuits and a moon surface, and he needed to have people coming in and out, and NASA science cars or anything, that was just for his 2001 Space Odyssey.
Wow.
He's doing a movie. He's doing a science fiction movie about rockets and astronauts and something going on in space. So he could kind of get away with whatever.
I love it.
And then in The Shining, Danny has a knitted sweater that has the Apollo 11 rocket that is constantly standing up in the frame. Like that's the rocket that landed on the moon.
Right. Oh, right.
I mean, all this stuff. Yeah, I'm preaching to the converted. I mean, all these things already.
But then there's the
room 223 or 237.
Yeah. That documentary, I knew the guy.
Documentary, I think we have to use with like loose air quotes. Hold on, around documentary.
Well, the movie that was about that was called Room. What was it called?
I don't know.
Tim, who was the producer director of that, his daughter went to school with Lila when they were little.
Okay.
And so I got a little bit of the taste of like him putting that thing together. He's an amazing
237.
Guy.
Yeah.
Right.
But they changed it from 217 to 237. Why did they? Originally in the book it was 217, but then Kubrick needed it to be 237.
I do love it sometimes when you hear all of these like or stories about all these nefarious things, and this had to happen, and then when you really hear the real story, or even it's like being inside some kind of entertainment world for a little bit, and you see how things run, you're like, you guys, this is people can barely put together photo shoots. Like without like someone not showing up on time, or someone not like lying their way into a job that they have no idea what they're doing, like lying their way to the top, and then like having to fake everything until they make it. You're like, you really think that the majority of these people have like a 10-year plan of how we're going to take over people's you're like, no, it's not. It's much easier to create stories afterwards.
That's what they want you to think.
Almost everybody's just doing things to get paid a little bit more money, I think.
Yeah, but man, follow the money, follow where it is, man. They got to know.
Unless you're Palantir, then you're on it.
Oh man. Yeah, I thought it was great though too, because even like there, I like the sneaker sort of ensemble where everybody had their own superpowers. It was like an original sort of like Avengers or X-Men sort of thing where each person had their own specialty. Like
right.
There was, Whistler was the phone guy. You could put you in there. And then Mother was the the sort of the tech guy. But then River Pheonix, how great was he? I really feel like there was a glimpse into this kind of goofier, sillier side of River Pheonix that I think were so in his passing, the legacy is this brooding, dark young man, and very serious, very, stoic actor, emotive actor. But in this film, he's a real goofball, and it's great. And it's fun to see him like that.
Well, and he had, like they had said in that YouTube clip that you sent that had.
We should credit the YouTuber. I'll look it up what it is.
That he had said that the previous movie, was it My Own Private Idaho?
Right. Yeah.
Right before that, that it was that one was so kind of emotionally draining that he just wanted to do something kind of fun. And I love that, like, I just want to do something fun. And then it's just with Robert Redford and Dan Aykroyd and Sidney Poitier. And it's like the biggest, the
all-star lineup
at that time.
Ben Kingsley is the bad guy.
Ben Kingsley, right.
Yeah, that's huge. Oh yeah, Joe Blow Originals is the YouTube clip we looked at. It's called WTF Happened to Sneakers? ? It's great.
Oh, right.
It's a great kind of behind the scenes sort of quick synopsis of the film and some of the research he did was super informative. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel it feels like it's that thing too. I loved all these kind of like 80s techie sci-fi things, like even Flight of the Navigator and the other one we talked about last week, Explorers, where it just always seemed like everybody, if you just had like a room with enough wires and black boxes in it, you could just kind of make them do anything. There was a sort of movie magic and tech sort of thing in the 80s that were just like, oh yeah, you just need some boxes and I think some buttons. And
there has to be a code to break.
Yeah.
It's really easy. It just happens to be really easy. It's like, well, what's his son's birthday?
Right. Oh yeah.
Let's try that. I'm like, oh Joshua? My God, that's what it was.
Yeah, we got him. But you look at your passwords. I mean, it's like my passwords.
Wait, how do you know?
Yeah.
How'd you know that? That's my son's birthday.
Yeah. Because you can only remember so much stuff in your head. I saw a great stand-up bit where it was like, when you had to come up with your passwords, when the internet was first starting and you're this old, as old as we are. And it's like, okay, password. And like, oh, but you need a number. Okay, password 1. Like, no one will ever figure this out. Like, oh, but you gotta have a special characteristic. Okay, password 1! Like, nah!
No one, it's so easy. No one will ever guess it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3! Star. Okay. No one will ever get it. Yeah. But it's just incredible how much more technology we live with on a daily basis, and we're, I'm constantly in that sort of state of like, is this the Jets? This isn't the Jetsons, this isn't the future we were promised, but in so many ways there are these insane things that are like it, but it just feels boring and mundane. You know what I mean? Being able to telecommute to work, or whatever, work remotely being the one more, larger social advances. I think technologically it was there, but just socially acceptable that, you can get paid for a job and never actually be in the same room with anybody. It would have been obscene to our parents' generation.
Well, even just doing a video podcast,
right? Yeah,
and us seeing each other. I remember, like, because one of my uncles worked in Silicon Valley, and he was talking about. I mean, this was in the '90s or whatever, and they were working on video conferencing, and he's like, "Yeah, you can like see the person that you're talking to," and it was just like, "Wow, that must be just crazy." It's like talking on the phone, but who would have known that like talking on the phone would barely be a thing anymore?
Right. It would just change the thing. Yeah.
I
send a text before I call anybody unless it's my mom. The only person, my mom or wife, the only people
you never get a random knock on the door anymore. And you rarely get a random phone call from a friend. It's like you get a text, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Nothing, blah, 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 blah.
Got him in to chat. We should talk later. Let's schedule a time to talk.
Yeah. And I remember when texting first started, and the friend of mine who was touring a lot, he was like texting on his BlackBerry or whatever. And I was like, God, it seems so like inconvenient. Why wouldn't you just call?
Yeah.
And thinking like, wait, you just texting all the time? I don't know. I don't get it. Now crazy. I haven't called anybody in 4 years. That's about it.
Yeah. But, well, you can also tell when it's like a spam call too. Like, no one's calling me. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, there's nobody I know that's calling me, unless either a doctor's office, somebody calling back to confirm an appointment, a dentist's office or something, or spam calls.
It is weird. It is weird, right? You'd get the phone used to randomly ring, and you never saw a number on it.
Just or pick it up.
Like, I mean, I remember my grandparents still had probably when I was a kid, we still just had a rotary phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, like,
rotary phone.
I don't know. Yeah. It just, you think of that now, it's like, right. Like there was so much more random occurrences. Like I feel like now things rarely do random things happen unless you put yourself in a situation for random things to happen.
We bought a push button phone for like the landline when we bought the house, and because we signed up for, you had to get phone service in order to get the internet service, came together in the same thing. And so we plugged the phone in, just like, oh, that'd be fun to have. Hey, we bought a phone, we bought a house, this was like 15 years ago. And all it was just always sales calls, because no one had the number. Like we didn't give I don't even know what the number is to the house. We never gave it out to anybody, but it was already on a list of telemarketer calls. So we had plugged it in for maybe 3 days. And then after the third day of just random calls, I'm like, because even if you just hung it up, it was still annoying. You had to walk across the house into the room where the phone was and just hang it up again. I'm like, this is so annoying. So we just stopped. We just stopped doing it. I think we still have it somewhere. Like I'm always tempted to plug it back in just to see what it is.
Yeah, we're the same. We pay for a landline. I don't think we even have a phone hooked up to it.
But there's the jack is in the wall.
It's just in case. Like, just in case our phones don't work.
Right,
I guess.
In what world does all the other stuff break, but the landline's hardwired in? Maybe.
I guess
satellites. So. I feel like all that stuff probably runs through something.
Oh,
yeah. Satellites. But even, I thought it was interesting too, just like war games, it's still like the telephone was a big part of the technology sort of hacking thing. The phones, you had to, put the phone in the cradle to connect it to the thing, or route the phones through the satellites and to
throw off wireless.
Something. You're right. Yeah. But it's interesting how much phones have been sort of connected to the, sort of the basis of the internet. And then now to go to the smartphone, it's like there has been this kind of like commingling of technology with communication and yeah.
Yeah. That the movie kind of weirded me out too, because you look at how much things haven't changed. Like if you had a movie from like the early 60s to the early 90s and seeing like the process of the technology and how much things changed, like it changed drastic, right? Like you couldn't really make a movie from the 60s and watch it in the 90s or about the 60s, whatever, that 30 years. And then when you watch this movie, I'm like, the internet's a bit faster. And we have we have cell phones in our, like, that we just carry around. We can call each other.
You can text.
But most of the other stuff, it wasn't that far in the past. It didn't feel like it was that far in the past. Right. It didn't feel like the 30s to the 60s was a massive jump. The 60s to the 90s was a massive jump. And the 90s to now is like, things are more convenient, I guess. Like we can shop online.
Yeah.
We can although I have something stuck at FedEx right now that's been stuck for a month, and I can't get anybody on the phone at either like the place that or it's like for towns, it's like soccer jersey or whatever for his team. And the company that I'm talking to is soccer.com, right? Should be
Shout
like
out.
a massive, should be able to, with a name like that, you should be able to take care of anything, right? Soccer wise.
Somebody was camping out on that name too, right? Like we're just in those early days of website names, like, okay, soccer.com. I've got the football.com, baseball.com, basketball.com. I got all of those. I just wait for somebody to come and buy me out. I need $100,000. Soccer.com.
Yeah. And you'd think with a name like that they would be able to control anything, right? Like we got the name, anything soccer, this is on us. And you call them and it's like, and I talked to a person there and they're like, it's
we sell dog
a woman,
food.
A nice enough.
We transferred over to latex importing, exporting of rubber
and it's
bands.
A nice enough woman, but she's in her house. She's like, sorry, my home is not, my internet at the house isn't great.
She's soccer.com.
So sorry if my call.
She's not, there's not a corporation.
So soccer.com is like, just like paying people, I'm sure, to sit by their computers and wait for
that's the
angry people
service.
like me to like call and go, so what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, well, we can't change it because it was ground. And so we just have to wait. And I'm like, but how though?
We've got so much shipped back to them,
right? Like
ship it back to you.
Don't know.
Why can't it get delivered?
We just have to wait
because you have a PO box.
It's PO box, but usually they can like, but they're like, well, sometimes they can, they send a PO box, and I'm like, well, then why did you let me put my PO box in? Whatever. So, but this is what we're coming to now. So I'm like, well, I'll just call FedEx, and I call FedEx and put in the number or whatever, and they're like, nope, everything looks fine. You can't talk to a person. And I'm like, no, there's got to be a way to talk to a person. I've tried everything to talk to a person.
Is there do you know the address of where it is? Is it sitting in a FedEx
Yeah, but I can't go there.
I'm
not allowed.
Oh,
it's fenced in like place.
But there's an office, right?
No.
Oh, it's not that kind of place.
Nope.
I've done that. I've done that before. There's a place in like Van Nuys in the valley so if just a FedEx pickup location, like if they can't deliver it after a few things, then they'll just hold it there for 30 days.
This is not they cannot take it there. It's just all these things. And I'm like, well, can I pay an extra $10 to like have it sent? No, $10. No.
Okay. Yeah.
No. That's not, there's no, and so now it's just stuck. Right. And I'm like, well, who can I talk to? Well, you can talk to multiple computers, but the computers tell you that there's nothing we can do.
We have a beautiful automated system we paid a lot of money for.
Yeah. And I'm like, so this is
representative.
I'm like, human voice person. Can I I'm having issues. I'm having problems, shipping problems.
This is where AI
I'm trying to get to the one.
Like, hey pal, you having problems? I'm AI. I can help you with your problems.
We have sent you to a in-house psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bobby. We're hearing you're having mental problems.
Let's chat.
No problem. My problem is your problem. Your problem is my problem now. Thank you. I'm glad I have fixed this problem. Goodbye.
We bought something for our youngest's birthday that was a week ago, and it was advertised on the Instagrams. I go, okay, this looks so much fun. The reviews are great. Okay, I'll buy it. I don't do it often, but I was looking for something, a kid present quickly. And so I was like, cool, easy peasy. Bought it a month ago. The birthday was last week. I'm gonna check the shipping, and it's left China. left China. I don't know, 6 weeks ago or something. It's like, it's just cool. It'll get there when it gets there. Yeah, it'll get there when it gets there. Like, right.
The worst.
That's cool.
The worst is that you just have to, especially in the US, that I think that we are a hustling and gambling economy. And so everybody grows up, even if they have a normal job, there's always a hustle in the back of your head of like, ooh, if I only had done this, maybe I can buy old cars and then I'm going to talk to a guy. It's like, that's just put in. And so I think that with the internet and with everything else, you're always going to have the hustlers hustling you in a way to like like make it look as real as possible. And the majority of people will never ask for their money back. And if they do, we'll just send them to a computer and it will take 25 steps to get your $12 back. Most people will just go, whatever,
make
it's
it
the
way
$12.
harder.
And then we just make free $12. We don't have to send anything out.
There's a whole
I'm just a guy.
that.
I'm a guy in a room that orders things from China. Yep. I don't even have to order anything. I just say I do. And then I take that money and I buy like a little place in the Bahamas. I leave.
Sounds good. Yeah. I heard this thing, and the concept I was familiar with, but I liked the phrase of it. It was the pickaxe theory or pickaxe strategy. And the idea being, during the gold rush, everybody was coming out to go strike it rich. They were going to make their millions mining gold. They were going to find the gold sources up in the hills, but they couldn't get there. They couldn't get the gold out of the ground without a pickaxe. So the companies, the guys who had the box of pickaxes on the way to the gold rush, they were the ones that actually had money in hand. They weren't going for the big money. They were going for the small money that was consistent for everyone else, financing themselves off of being useful to the fad or useful to the big push. So everybody's running over here. All the attention is there. What can I do? What service, what product can I provide that would make the money now? Well, people are going to sink the money into making their fortunes. How do I be the one to capture that revenue stream?
Yeah.
While everyone else is going big. And that's a lucrative business there.
Yeah, totally.
And I was like, oh wow, that's an interesting way of looking at stuff. If you think, where's the heat? Where's the attention? What's everybody willing to spend a little bit extra out of their pocket on? Because they think they're speculating that they're going to make it rich.
Like you don't necessarily
shop there. Right before the big payoff, be the guy they have to talk to pay right before that.
Yeah. You get to sell the tools to make the payoff. Or it's like you don't want to you don't need to invent the thing. You just need to provide the batteries that run all the things.
Sure, exactly. Right.
So just make it off AAAs. Mm-hmm. I got all the AAAs. What do you need? Yep. How many?
Oh, cool! You just bought the big new tool. It's going to do everything for you. But you need some scissors to open the package of the big cool tool that everyone's buying. You can't open that package without these scissors.
Yeah,
so
I also own the plastic company to put the really hard plastic.
Yes, those plastic shells around that are impossible.
Put the plastic shells that you can't rip open. So then I will also provide the scissors to cut open the plastic shells.
These are the specialized scissors you need. Both of them. Only one of them. One of my favorite things on tour, in this regard, was that we played a venue in Kentucky. I want to say it was in Knoxville. It was a small bar. Awesome. Exactly what you want on tour. The room with a PA, 2 sizes too big for the size of the room that it is. And the drinks were cheap and it was great. And everyone's really nice and rock and roll, easy peasy, no backstage, just load in. Here's your merch. Great room, really fun. But right next door, there was a vintage clothing store. And they're like, oh, that's kind of, and then records. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It'd be fun to go see what they got there. And then as we were like, I was like, oh, I found this cool jacket. This is kind of cool. I hadn't seen this, and a couple records. Like, this looks cheap and fun and cool. I haven't seen this before. So bringing up records and shirts. And then I noticed they had batteries, like 9-volt batteries on the counter. I was like, oh, this is weird. This is for a vintage store. And then like pack of like yellow American Spirits. I was like, and then like, earplugs or like shaving cream or something. I'm like, what kind of store is this? And then I looked and then it hit me. I'm like, oh, this is the store for the band that just came over. This is the store for us. We bought the thing. Like, they're paying us whatever, $100 for the night to play. And then we go next door and we give them $100 for cool t-shirts, vintage t-shirts and, random records. Oh, and I do need some batteries for my pedals. And, oh yeah, it'd be easier to get these because, that's back when you couldn't get American Spirits everywhere.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of band, you probably would have those. It was just all of the things. I was like, oh wait, this is the tour store next to the tour stop in a remote town. It wasn't it wasn't a big town. It wasn't like a downtown area. This was kind of the spot. And I was like, oh, the guy that was so smart. It was the company store.
I'll give you $100 or
Or
I'll give you $130 to spend at our store next door.
Yes. Yeah. You get the credit. And like, well, what do you got there? Like,
$130 credit.
Yeah. We got everything that's in your van that you just ran low on. That's right there. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
We may have secret beer as well.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious. But I love when it's just practical things. But it was, I think that was the thing too on the sneakers. It was great. Like I got the feeling of just structurally where it was at, because it felt like obviously they were good writers, like the script works, but everything's motivated. It follows that thing where, like, have you seen that South Park story? There's a like structure thing they do, where it's like every scene has to be because this happened. This happens, therefore this happened. Not and then this happens randomly. It's the next thing. The scene after is the motivation for the next scene where they have to go is because this is what happened. He got hit over the head and thrown into a trunk. And he's like, well, I'll never be able to find the building. I don't know where I was taken. Well, what did it sound like? Right. Yeah. Then you go in the thing and then they find the thing. Okay. Well, how do we get in? Let's watch the people coming out. Like, okay, there's the guy. Okay. And then they take his trash to find the guy. Then they got to get these online dater. Okay. We got to set the girl up to do the date, to get the thing. Oh, yeah. It becomes a procedural, it becomes like this, like investigative, Magnum PI, story thing. Like,
the online dating app would have never put those two together,
right? Yeah, he's not looking
must
for
be Mitch,
right? Or the girl, the guy who folds his toothpaste like this is not looking for a wild night. He's looking for somebody who's put together and can do it. So, but it's just full of so many of those little things. But I was looking at the structure of it, and it does kind of have a Jaws sort of structure, where the first half is just, you see what's happening with a day in the life, and then there's a problem that he gets pulled in, to the drama. He's blackmailed. They're going to give up your secrets if you don't go do this job for us. Okay. Then he does it, and then they realize, oh, it's just only going to get worse. So we got to then flip it. And it's like the halfway point. I always say about that in the structure of Jaws is it's a whole slice of life, on an island. You're just seeing what's happening, and then there's a problem. And then to solve the problem, you need a whole other half of the movie to go out. They adventure out. Now they go from living their life and being attacked. And then the other half is, now we're on the offense and we're going to go kill the beast. We're going to go solve the problem. And that's kind of how this worked too. There was a halfway point, switch to where instead of just giving up and getting taken to jail, they put together the whole plan of how to go steal the box back to save themselves.
And then, it's like there is something about that ragtag, like we're the ragtag group of, like, we're just going to put this together and fight the big evil government, or the big evil corporation that's trying to run the government. And do you feel like that's a very American thing? Like,
from a storytelling perspective?
Because that really is like the rags to riches kind of, like Bad News Bears.
Sure.
I mean, like Asteroid movie where
I like the men. Yeah. Armageddon. I like Armageddon. Quentin Tarantino always calls it a men on a mission movie.
Okay.
Like Force 10 from Navarone, or like Magnificent Seven is a great version of that.
Right.
Where it's, you gotta put together a team. They don't really the team's already sort of put together, but everybody has their unique specialty that they're good at.
But everybody has to agree to it too. Right. Cause like they were like, I'm not doing this again.
I got a kid.
And then they have to we have to, fine. This is my last one.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, yeah.
I would do anything for you guys.
The refusal to adventure is a big part, like in the Save the Cat, the Save the Cat, like, is a classic screenwriting book. About all the things that have to happen on what page they have to happen in a script. And the refusal to adventure is a big one, in any film, the things happening, and they're going to, like, we just need you. You got to come with us, to save the universe. I can't. It's harvest time. My uncle needs me here. I can't leave the farm. I can't just go with you, because it grounds it in that reality. Like, no, you think about someone comes to you like, we need you to go on this crazy adventure with us, and you're the only one who can save the world. Like, but it's not me. I'm just a normal person. Yeah. I have a job. I have a family. I can't do this.
We're going to pull as much out of you as possible.
And then you wait for that turn, and then he makes it personal, and you're like, all right, he had to do it. He had to go.
Yeah.
And then
or the uncle comes in and goes, we'll find someone to take. You have to do this. This is your destiny.
In the classic Uncle Owen beat in A New Hope in Star Wars, Luke comes back to the homestead and they're burned to a crisp. Probably one of the scariest scenes in all of Star Wars is just those charred skeleton bodies in the Tunisian desert. It's like, oh, well, bye. I guess I'm going to outer space then. Bye, family and life and everybody that I ever knew in my entire life. Like, huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mos Eisley Cantina and meet Han Solo then. Bye. He doesn't seem too broken up about it, seeing the charred bodies of his aunt and uncle who raised him.
Well, Mark Hamill. He's
a hell of an actor.
Interesting one.
He's going to Tachi Station to pick up power converters.
What's the new movie he's in? I just saw him with a big beard talking about.
Oh, on camera.
Oh no,
I don't know. He's got a voice in something.
He's there's two interesting movies out right now that are about dudes friendship.
Right. Friendship, yes. Yeah.
But that's the Paul Rudd one.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one.
Is Mark Hamill in that?
No, there's maybe. I don't know. We do both have computers right now. I can just look it up. Yeah. It's more fun.
I like this better this way. Yeah.
This is like the old days. So this is what it was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
You just had
the one movie with the thing with the guy. Oh, that was what I was going to say too with the landlines. I remember getting called, or the house would get a call by a polling place, tell us what movie you're most interested in seeing. And then I remember my brothers or my mom or my dad would just hand me the phone and I'd be 8 years old. And here, talk to these people. Hello. Okay, well, do you want to take a movie survey? Yes, of course I do. Do you have a half hour to talk about random movies? Yes, I would love that. Even as a little kid, it was so fun. They would tell you the concept of the film or how interested would you be on a scale of 1 to 10 in seeing a film starring Mark Hamill, Jeff Goldblum, and Bette Midler.
Oh, wow. That's a very LA thing. I don't feel like that happened in Spokane.
Okay. Yeah. It happened enough times, the random phone call, kind of thing. You're like, well, who's calling? What is this about? And my dad would always get mad if it was during dinner time. It was the thing. You don't call during dinner time. It was some universal law. But I loved it. It was fun. I was talking there. Neil Hamburger had this great prank phone call CD that came out. Did you ever hear that?
No.
Greatest phone calls. It's on YouTube now with Neil Hamburger. But there's a great one where he has a robot voice where he calls people and asks them about films, how interested they'd be in seeing these different films. You see, The Ringmaster, starring Shelley Long as the Ringmaster. Press
prank calls. Those don't happen anymore.
It's harder to do.
Do they?
No, I think you have to call places and you have to have your own, you could call a business and just fuck with
That's
people.
Right. I guess you could do that.
Business side of things. But no, just the random person. The Longmont Potion Castle. He was the other greatest phone call pranks. Did you hear those? Ever?
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah. Oh,
I met him once. To our friend Scott.
Oh my God.
Who was friends with him. And he ended up showing up at a party and we were talking and he's like, you know who that's this Longmont Potion Castle. And I was like, no, it's not. And I was like,
impossible.
Oh yeah. No, it is. And then I told another friend of ours and he's like, no, those are legendary. It was Brad Pitt showing up at the party.
But you don't know wait, until someone tells you he's Brad Pitt. You're like, huh?
Yeah, it's like Brad Pitt, but at a Halloween Halloween costume or something.
Inside that,
and you're like, no,
that shark
that's
costume.
Not what that guy. He was a big
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. By the way, Mark Hamill, Life of Chuck. He's in Life of
okay.
Chuck.
I don't know anything about this. No.
I don't either, but it looks
Sam Rockwell.
It's a lot of dudes talking about it.
Okay.
Saying that it was the film they needed to see. So I feel like it's an emotional dude movie.
I haven't seen a film I've needed to see in a long time.
I know.
Everything I've seen is things I've wanted to see. I didn't know I needed to see any of these things.
Yep, this one is one you needed. Need to see.
Oh man!
Speaking about needing things, I do have to go in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah. Okay, we did it.
I just looked at the clock.
Jeff Byron, Maishi. Did you ever play with the Maishi?
No.
No.
And
okay.
I'm even trying to think if because I didn't mean to say like, no, absolutely
well,
not.
Okay, then that's probably why we didn't talk about it more at the top of the show. Okay.
I'm out, Randy. No, but I was actually surprised when you brought up Meishi, or, I was listening.
Yeah.
And I was like, Meishi. I know of the Meishi. I feel like maybe I saw the Meishi, but also I don't know why I didn't see them more when I listened to the album. Like, I listened to whatever was on Apple Music and was like, I should have been seeing this band every week. Why
it was all around the same place.
How did I miss? Like, I don't know. I missed them. I feel like if I would have seen them, I might have been on a different path.
Different trajectory. Yeah. Sliding doors.
Totally. Yeah.
Multiverse. All right. Well, yeah, we should wrap it up. I hope everybody is doing well. Remember to go fuck ice. Bring glitter in your pockets at all times, and throw glitter on anybody that says ice, has ice around them, and support your local musicians. Go see live music and send us a note. Oh, there was a great group. I promoted them at the top of the other show, but what were they called? They were awesome. They sent me a note from the Bay Area. Fog Lamp, Standing on the Wing. Go find Fog Lamp Bay on Instagram, or go to Spotify and Google Fog Lamp, FOGLAMP. They sounded great, and they reached out to us on the show because they like the show. They have a synth punk band, so they are awesome. And I think his name is also Aaron. Oh, so Aaron from Fog Lamp, thank you for reaching out. Everybody, do the same.
And obviously, it's going to be an amazing band.
It's going to be great. Awesome.
With a name like that,
you can't go wrong. Awesome. All right.